Hello, welcome to another wiki procedure, and today we are going to look on how you can apply for an environmental impact assessment license in Kenya. Down here below, we have given you a link which is going to direct you to our wiki procedure website page, where we have given you detailed information on how you can go about the application process. Additionally, on the right hand side of our screen, we have included a select language option through which you can select the language which you can easily understand by clicking on this downward pointing arrow and choosing the language which you easily understand from the list of languages given. For example, by choosing Swahili, all the information will be translated to Swahili and will be displayed in Swahili, and I can easily revert back to English by once again choosing English. We have included external links to other websites where you can visit and get more information on how you can make the application for your environmental impact assessment license, and we have also given a detailed account on the procedure on how you can go about the application process. We are going to go through this procedure as we move on with the presentation today, but before we move on, I would like you to hit the like button, hit the subscribe and the notification bell so you can get notifications every time we upload new content in our wiki procedure YouTube channel. So let's get back to our presentation, and the list of items which we are going to cover in this session include the need for the environmental impact assessment license, the eligibility criteria, required documents, steps to follow while making the application, fees, validity period, processing time, office location and contact information, and any other information that we may find relevant on how to apply for the environmental impact assessment license in Kenya. So welcome to our presentation today, which is brought to you by wikiprocedure.com. Need for the environmental impact assessment license. The goal of an environmental impact assessment is to ensure that the decisions on proposed projects and activities are environmentally sustainable. Environmental impact assessment also identifies measures to mitigate the negative impacts while maximizing on the positive ones. Environmental impact assessment is basically a preventive process, and it seeks to minimize the adverse impacts on the environment and reduce risks. If a proper environmental impact assessment is carried out, then the safety of the environment can be properly managed at all stages of a project. That is planning, design, construction, operation, monitoring and evaluation, as well as the commissioning of the project. The eligibility criteria. Proponents, either individuals or firms, planning to undertake projects which may interfere with the environment are eligible to apply for the environmental impact assessment license. In general, these projects include an activity out of character with the surrounding, any structure of a scale not in keeping with its surrounding, major changes in land use, urban development, mining, forest-related activities, and waste disposal. The eligibility criteria to carry out an environmental impact assessment studies is as follows. Individual experts or firm of experts registered by the National Environmental and Management Authority are the only ones licensed to do so in all environmental impact assessment or environmental audit studies. A register of environmental impact assessment expert is available in the National Environmental Management Authority headquarters, district and provincial offices of NEMA, and this list can be accessed by payment of a fee of 200 shillings. Let's move on. The required documents: you need copies of the project study report, payment receipt of the requisite fees, duly filled application form, a plan to ensure that the health and safety of the community and workers workers and the neighboring community during the project, action plan for the prevention and management of foreseeable accidents and ways of mitigating the same during the project cycle, the entire design of the project, the project budget. And the steps to follow while making the application are as follows. First of all, let's mention that the environmental impact assessment is a critical examination of the effects of a project on the environment, and it identifies both positive and negative impact of the development of any development activity or project, how it affects people, their property and the environment. It also identifies measures to mitigate the negative impacts while maximizing on the positive ones. And the environmental impact assessment is basically a preventive process that seeks to minimize adverse impacts of the environment and reduce risks. The National Environmental Management Authority, NEMA, is the one mandated by the Environmental Management and Coordination Act to administer the environmental impact assessment. This application can only be done in person, And the first step is to contact individual experts or firm of experts to conduct the environmental impact assessment of your project. You should note that only registered licensed environmental impact assessment by NEMA are the ones who are licensed to carry out the environmental impact assessment or environmental audit studies by law in Kenya. The project report can take a period of 5 days to complete, and it costs approximately 50,000 to carry out the environmental impact assessment and for you to be issued with the report. Once you have been issued with the environmental impact assessment report, you are supposed to submit hard copies of it to the National Environmental Management Authority with an initial payment of 50% of 0.05% of the total project cost. At this point, the National Environmental Management Authority will dispatch the environmental impact assessment report to lead agencies for review. If the environmental impact assessment report is approved, the proponent will obtain a notice of gazettement from the National Environmental Impact Assessment. At this point, if the environmental impact assessment project report is approved, the proponent will obtain a notice of gazettement from NEMA, the National Environmental Management Authority. Okay, let's move on. At this point, NEMA shall publish a notice about the project in 2 successive weeks in the Kenya Gazette and a newspaper circulating in the area where the project will take place. And the notice shall state a summary description of the project, the place where the project is being carried out, the place where the environment impact assessment study, evaluation or review or report may be inspected, and a time limit of not exceeding 90 days for the submission of oral or written comments by any member of the public on the environmental impact assessment study, evaluation or review report. So in other words, NEMA shall publish in the Kenya Gazette for 2 successive weeks, giving notice about your project, which is going to where the project is going to take place, a summary description of the project, a summary description on the environmental impact assessment study, where it was taken, where you can where the public can go and review, and a time limit of 90 days will be given for anyone who has any issue with the project which is about to take place. And if within the 90 days no one has submitted any oral or written dispute about the project, the project is going to go to the next phase, or it's going to be allowed to continue, and NEMA is going to issue environmental impact assessment license. So the next point, if there is no objections raised from the Gazette notice, as I've mentioned, NEMA will approve the environmental impact assessment report, and the final payment of 50% of 0.05% of the total project cost is made, and the environmental impact assessment license is issued to the proponent. On the other hand, if the environmental impact assessment report is rejected, on the other hand, the environmental impact assessment can be rejected with sufficient reasons. So the reasons for the rejections, within the 90 days, if the members of the public submit enough or submit written and oral disputes which contradict or which go against and justifies that the project should not take place, the NEMA, the National Environmental Management Authority, can reject the environmental impact assessment report, and you will not be issued with the environmental impact assessment license. Okay, so let's move on. So after issuance of the environmental impact assessment license, NEMA will monitor, and NEMA monitors and audits conditions of approval on a yearly basis. The fees applicable is the project proponent is the one who pays for the entire environmental impact assessment process. The environmental impact assessment license fee is 0.05% of the total project cost, with a minimum of 10,000 shillings with no upper capping. Note that the environmental impact assessment fees have been scrapped effective from January 2017, so you only pay for the license and no extra fees are charged. The period of the license is 24 months, within which the project must start. If it does not start within 2 years, the validity can be extended for a maximum of 4 years at a fee of 5,000 shillings. The processing time takes between 45 and 90 working days. Office location of National Environmental and Management Authority. They are located at Popo Road, Mombasa Road, in South Sea, Nairobi, and you can visit them through their website of www.nema.go.ke. Other information is that any person who commences, proceeds with, executes, or conducts any project without approval granted, that's the environmental impact assessment license, is liable, commits an offense, and on conviction is liable to the penalty prescribed under the Act, which is the Environmental Management Act of Kenya. The environmental impact assessment is conducted to identify impacts of the project on the environment, predict likely changes of the environment as a result of development, evaluate impacts of various alternatives of the project, generate baseline data for monitoring and evaluating impacts, including mitigation measures during the project cycle. So I thank you for watching our presentation today, but before we conclude, I will urge you to go ahead and hit the like button and hit the subscribe button so you can get notifications every time we upload new content. If you have any queries, you can just go through even our website page, and the steps are quite easy to retaliate. Just contact individual experts or firms to carry out the environmental impact assessment study, and you'll be issued with a project report after 5 days. Approximately 50,000 shillings is used. From there, submit the project report to NEMA. You'll pay 50% of 0.05% of the project cost. At this point, NEMA will dispatch the report to lead environmental agencies for review, and if after review the project is approved, the project will be advertised in the Kenya Gazette for a period of 2 weeks, and if there is no objections, NEMA will approve your project and you will pay the other 50% of 0.05% of your total project cost, and you will be issued with the environmental impact assessment license. So it's that simple. So thank you for watching. I'll urge you once again to hit the like, hit the subscribe, and hit the notification, and I wish you all the best. Have a good day.